Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Letterbox Book Club. My name is Mackenzie,
And my name is Claire.
and we are here also with guest star Madi.
She's in the room, but she's not mic'd up, so she wasn't preparing to be a part of
I
this.
was just sure she'll add her 2 cents every so often.
So if
I
you
don't know what we're talking about, but
oh, well, you're in for a treat. So if you hear like some commentary in the background, it is Maddie. Also, it's been raining heavily in the past few minutes, so it may happen again. So enjoy the white noise if you manage to hear it. So Kenzie, what have you got planned for us today? Because this is a special little bonus ep.
Today, I have it planned for you all the fanfics that I've read this year.
Oh, this year! Wow. Okay.
Well, specifically the Dramione, or not actually, well, yeah, a few Dramione, a couple other ones that I'm going to give you the synopsis
Yeah,
of
love
all
it.
of them.
Love it. Because while Kenzie likes enjoying consuming Dramione media, I like when she tells me what she reads and like she describes everything to me. It's great. So I'm not deep in the Dramione fandom world, but I am aware of like certain top fics because in the beginning of early in the year there was a whole manacled phase around TikTok and everything, and that really pumped everything up.
Yeah, especially that it's being adapted.
Yeah, for sure. So huge development on that front. So
And another one is that I read. I think the one that I'm reading, or the one before that, is getting adapted.
okay, so what fics have you read this year so far?
Okay, well, obviously we read Manacled,
Mhm.
which I have not recovered from, and I will never recover from.
You'll never financially, emotionally, intelligently.
Physically.
Yeah.
Okay, next I read Breath Mint and Battle Scars by Onyx and Elm.
Maddie, you look like you have thoughts.
it's a title.
Yeah, and so that was about Hermione and Draco and everyone else going back to Hogwarts for their 8th year and finishing schooling because, after a war, that's top priority.
Of course.
And Draco and Hermione realize that they're both not the same people that they were before the war. And shocker, and they fall in love.
Shocker.
Okay, and that was all. That was a quick one shot kind of.
Oh, okay, straight to the point, just kind of wet the palate.
Yep, certainly
One
was
shot,
wet.
like it's a D&D game.
Yes.
Wet the whiskers.
Okay, the next one is The Debt of Time by Shaya Lonnie. This was an interesting read. This also went for about 3 years to read. No, it went for ages, but it was good. And this is about, after the war and everything, Hermione realizes that she has Sirius Black owes her a life debt because she saved his life in 3rd year when she let him out of the Tower Bombarded Maxima, and then he flew off on Buckbeak. But he's dead because remember he went through the veil anyway.
Okay.
And Hermione realizes that life debts circumvent death.
Oh.
So she brings him back from beyond the veil.
Maddie, you look like you
I'm
have
so
thoughts.
here for that.
Yeah. So she brings him back from beyond the veil. Yeah, but he calls her, he's like, Mia? And it's like, no, I am not Mia, I'm Hermione.
Who's Mia?
Yeah, anyway. Or Maya, whichever. It's open for interpretation.
Oh, what's the spelling?
Well, I'll tell you. No, I'll tell you. It's MIA, but there's a meaning. I'm getting to it.
Okay.
So anyway, then Sirius is really weird around her, and then on her birthday, Ramus gives her a letter and a letter. He gives her a letter and a ring or a bracelet or something. Anyway, and when I can't remember what the letter says, but it's important anyway. And when she touches the gift, she is thrown back in time.
Okay.
She is at Hogwarts. She is back in her 11-year-old body.
Oh wow.
And she stumbles across Dumbledore and stuff. And it is when all the Marauders were at school.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so she is in 1st year with them, whatever, and she gives Dumbledore the letter, and it's obviously I'm here for a reason, blah blah blah. So, but she can't tell them anything about Voldemort or whatever because obviously
fucks up the time.
That'll fuck up the timeline in the future. they sort it out, and he's like, oh, okay, like I'll give you, like I'll find a wizarding family that you can like stay with or whatever while you're stuck in this time. Anyway, so it ends up being the Potters. So
Oh yeah, I think you've explained this before.
James Potter and his parents.
I mean, good luck to you. James Potter's notoriously a douche.
Yeah.
Like,
Well.
so yeah.
Anyway, and obviously they're like 11, so Dumbledore just like rocks up on their doorstep, a la Dursleys, and is like, "Here is a child for you," and she's like, "Oh, I'm her." She must say like, "I'm Hermione" or whatever, and then James like, "That's a stupid name. I'm gonna call you Maya."
Oh,
So-
Hermione.
Yeah, so she becomes Maya Potter, and then it goes through the whole like her with the Marauders through all like the whole Hogwarts
Adventure.
event,
Yeah.
like all the years, like first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and she sleeps with Ramus.
Love that
So
for
this is the
her.
whole thing. They have sex. Like she actually dates him for a really long time, and then she ends up dating Sirius, and then they get quite serious.
Maddie, you look scared. What are your thoughts?
I'm just upset with the mispronunciation of Remus's name.
Or Ramus.
All right. Jesus
I
Christ.
apologize, but
I
also
love
like
Remus.
how they couldn't make up their minds in the movies either. Yeah, they go through all that, and then her and Sirius and Remus end up living together after school or whatever. But she's always like a bit of a bitch to Peter Pettigrew, and it's like, okay, well, this Peter Pettigrew hasn't betrayed the Potters yet.
Right.
Anyway, so like it's a whole thing. It's
So
like,
she's metagaming,
yeah,
for lack of a better description.
yeah. I think she tells Ramus, yeah, the truth. She's like, this is what happens, like blah blah blah, but she doesn't tell anyone else. And then there's all this thing about like familial bonds and stuff because she becomes Mia Potter, like they adopt her
Mhm.
and stuff. And then there's this whole thing about like I forgot this part.
Strap in.
Here comes the rain.
So you know, like, so Remus doesn't have a pack
Okay.
yet.
He's
in
a lone
this.
wolf?
He's a lone wolf, and like that's really dangerous for him. So
I'm scared. I don't think I've ever known this part. Just say it.
it's like the joining
Okay.
from Blood and Ash.
Okay.
So Sirius and Remus and Hermione have a threesome.
They bone, okay.
In the gardens of the Potter estate.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then it gets to a point, yeah, where like all the Voldemort shit is happening or whatever, and she like begs them to make Sirius the secret keeper, not Peter. And like, what are you talking about? Blah blah blah. And then they don't change it, and then so obviously like
Nothing changed.
nothing changed. Sirius still went to prison or whatever, and then she gets thrown back into the future, while her previous future self gets thrown back again into the past.
Oh my god.
So it's just like a cycle. Like obviously she was meant to like go on this journey and
yeah.
stuff and blah blah blah. But obviously so she comes back as Maya, and then obviously her and Sirius are like, oh my god, like blah blah blah, and then they were like, and then Harry's like, what the fuck is happening? And like it's a whole thing. And of course, like Ron's a douchebag because in all the fanfics they write Ron as a douchebag.
Yep.
Wow. Also, potential spoilers if anyone's listening and just curious and who are wanting to read these fics, maybe don't listen, but I don't think really fic spoilers are that serious, in my opinion. So I encourage reading.
I love the idea though that she's just mentally come back from time,
Yeah.
and but from Harry's point of view, they've
It's
just
his
got
best
serious.
friend, yeah.
His best friend has just resurrected his godfather, and then they start making out randomly.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, yeah, so obviously Maya comes back to the future in like her 22-year-old self or whatever, and then Sirius is like 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's an age gap. So yeah, Harry sees his like 40-year-old godfather snogging his 21-year-old best friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And he has no idea
Yeah,
the
and so
journey.
then they have to like explain everything. It's a whole
That
thing.
is so funny. Sounds like, yeah, that type of fic has got a bit of everything.
Mm.
Like fucking Ramus
Mm.
and like a threesome in general and doing whatever it takes to save the one you love as well.
Yeah.
Like, just back in time.
Yeah. Oh, and Dumbledore also puts like a hex on her so that she can't like spill the secrets.
Oh, I mean, fair enough.
Yeah.
So she's a secret keeper herself,
Yeah.
in a way.
Just went to sleep. That was the debt of time.
Lovely.
Okay, and then there's all the young dudes.
Okay.
I've heard of that.
Uh-huh. Okay, so that is all the young dudes is the Marauders.
Okay.
Yeah. because there's like the Beatles song, "Oh, the young," yeah, whatever. It is about Remus mostly, like he is the main character. But they like change his home life or whatever, where he essentially lives in a delinquent boys' home.
Oh, they make him the damaged kid.
Yeah,
broken kid.
yeah. So that's where he spends his summers when he's not at Hogwarts. He eventually starts spending like his summers with the Potters and stuff, but it goes through his like life at Hogwarts, go through all the years, and him making his friends and stuff, and then obviously being a werewolf, and then telling like that secret to the boys, and then they become animagi with him, and then it is his and Sirius's gay awakening as well. So they end up together. But there's this whole like on TikTok sometimes you'll see when they talk about like fanfics and stuff, they'll be like, oh, like a Grant, whatever his name was, and he was like a big part of Remus's life. He was a Muggle boy, and they had a relationship for a bit.
Quick question: is that like a huge characteristic in like Harry Potter / More to Fix, Sirius, Gay Awakening, and Remus, or is it just in this?
Yeah, it's a wolf star. It's a wolf star.
Don't look at me. I don't know.
It's a big thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then apparently David, whatever his last name is, who plays Remus, was that one was told. He was either told to play Remus as gay, Sirius, gay for more man, or he just like made that choice.
Yeah. There's definitely vibes there.
Yeah.
There's definitely vibes there between those two.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so in the book as well, he has to deal with like thinking Sirius betrayed the Potters, and then all his friends dying, and then he goes and joins a pack for Dumbledore, like he goes undercover and stuff, and then he comes back to teach, and then obviously like he has to meet Harry, and he doesn't tell him anything about, which was like, what, don't understand that choice.
Wow. I suppose when it comes to the creative directory of the writer, you get to make their self-insert sort of situation as well.
Yeah, and then obviously when Sirius comes back.
Wonderful. As I've said before, like I'm not deep in Harry Potter fandom, but I'm only very much familiar with the Dramione aspects. But I do know that the Marauders are a huge fan base inside a fan base. Yeah. Despite there being no real good representations of them, like books wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think there's just a lot of creative liberty, and then people create fan canon.
There's kind of had to be that case because it's well established that that's one of the most interesting aspects of the universe that was never explored, and Joe refused to write more on that despite fan outcry for it. So
maybe it's a way for her to win fans back if she pumps something out.
I think it's too little too late.
I think it's too late, especially because now what they are trying to, or they already have bought the rights off her for the TV show.
They were trying to.
Yeah.
Nothing's been done.
I don't know, but like that'd be so funny. Like as a major comeback to try and hook some fans back is like, this is an official Marauders trilogy or something. Yeah. it'd be like,
and then just everything is just fan service.
Exactly. Yeah. But it'd be like the Harry Potter video game where in the moment it would cause an uproar, but I reckon a lot of people would just consume it anyway.
Yeah.
Lovely. Any other?
Yes.
Yes.
I have several more.
Okay, all right, yeah, keep going.
Okay, so I also read Secrets and Masks.
I've heard of that one.
And that one kind of destroyed me as well.
Okay.
Like medical level destroyed. Like I had a big cry about it. So when I sent that snap the other night, when I was like, I haven't cried in months, but it was the Dramione fic that broke me.
Yeah.
And so it is a like alternate reality, alternate universe where Voldemort has won. Harry is dead. And
again, those are like the common sort of fic. World building as well.
Yeah, the Order has like joined forces with Muggle army, and they're using like tanks and shit,
guns
like,
guns and drones and bombs,
yeah,
and their tanks, and their bombs, and their wands,
and Voldemort's Death Eaters, like they all have like levels of like their Death Eater masks that they wear. So there's like black masks, which are like everyday Joe Blow Death Eaters or whatever. There's like gold masks, which are like a step above or whatever. And then there's like the demon masks, and there's only 2 of those. And I want you to guess who the 2 are.
Malfoy?
No, they're Voldemort's right hand and left hand.
Okay, listen, I not much on the Harry Potter universe, so don't ask me.
It is Draco Malfoy.
Oh, I said Draco.
Nagini, the snake. Nagiri is a type of sushi.
Sorry. But I did say Draco.
So it's Draco Malfoy and
Yeah.
Bellatrix Lestrange.
Yeah,
Of course. Okay. Yeah.
And so he captures Hermione Granger. Harry is not dead. I lied. No, Harry's not dead.
Damn, now my
Voldemort
illusion
won.
of this fiction has been broken.
Yeah,
because
sorry,
of that.
anyway.
How dare you?
Yeah, they capture Hermione.
Another common plot point.
Yeah. And
I just love your attitude throughout all of it. You just like mispronouncing things on purpose. I know I said something just out of stupidity, but you're just willy-nilly. I love it.
Then like also a big theme in these books is like legilimens and occlumency and like mind, the whole thing anyway. And Draco Malfoy is always the best like legilimens, so he can like go into the heads.
Yep.
So he's like trying to get information out of Hermione, and Voldemort's like, get the information. And then he's like, cool, whatever. Oh, and then also there's been these secret meetings between Hermione and an insider in Voldemort's ranks, but they both disguise themselves when they meet.
Okay.
And Hermione calls herself Lilith, and the other person calls himself Medusa. Anyway, so they think that Hermione will know who the leak is.
Okay.
So they're trying to, but like they've been disguised the whole time.
Right,
Anyway,
yeah.
whole thing.
It's giving Night and Flame.
Yeah, night and day.
9 days. That's it. Sorry.
The leak is Malfoy. I'm telling you right.
See, this is what I thought. It's not.
Oh, what a plot twist!
Yeah. Anyway, and then big characters in this is Theo Knott, who I think has just been like a fan creation. Theo Knott, and he appears in everything, and he's brilliant. Blaise Zabini, who is in it, and Astoria Greengrass is
What
in
a
this
name.
one. It's usually Astoria or it's Pansy Parkinson.
Yeah.
And Astoria, her sister is Daphne. Anyway, whole thing. Astoria and Blaise are married. Astoria is like really sick. She has like this blood curse.
Oh,
So she's sick, so she puts on glamours and stuff to appear like not dead and gross or whatever.
fair enough.
And then they have like all these, they have all these parties and stuff. So she glamours herself, but it's a whole thing. And I'm just gonna reply to this message. And then of course like Hermione and Draco fall in love because of course they do.
Yeah.
And then Hermione figures out how to cure Astoria's blood curse, so that's fun. And then also we find out that the leak is Theo Knott and Astoria Greengrass have been working together because Astoria comes across as like this meek little like, oh, I'm just Blaise Zabini's wife, and so she like flits in and out at all these parties and stuff, and she like it's very much Mrs. Lady Whistledown.
Oh,
She's like picking up all the information and
I
then
love
giving
that.
So then Malfoy has to decide, does he turn his friends over or does he switch sides?
Oh.
So he switches sides. And then there's like a point where like a Voldemort tries to go into like Hermione's head and it's like blah, blah, blah. And then she says that she can like feel the like roots of his magic in him for like ages and ages, whatever. Turns out she became a Horcrux.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. Anyway, so she essentially sacrifices herself.
Of course, because of course she does.
Which
She
of course
always
she does.
It's a huge characteristic in these.
Also,
books.
his parents are dead in this. Draco's parents are already dead in this.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so anyway. So yeah, Hermione sacrifices herself, and then Draco goes to like kill Voldemort because he's like, well, that was the last Horcrux. I'm gonna fuck him up.
Mhm.
Anyway, and then Draco like just gets Sectum Sempered again.
Wow,
Kills Voldemort though.
love that.
No, I think a story does maybe. Anyway, Sectum Sempered.
I'm
and he's
all
like,
for our main characters getting the
yeah,
final blow.
he's like, don't heal me.
Oh.
Yeah, he's like, I want to die. Oh my god, I forgot this whole plot. I forgot this whole B plot.
Yep.
Barty Crouch Jr. has like all these like little like concubine women like hanging out around him. Anyway, and like Theo not like so Daphne Greengrass was killed. Right, I forgot this was killed because she refused to bomb magic children's hospital.
I
a
mean,
Muggle children's hospital.
How dare she?
Yeah. Anyway, so then Barty Crouch has all these like women, and they like go in because he's at parties, whatever. And there's this one who like sees Theo and is like just acts really weird towards him, whatever. And then he has a tattoo because he and Daphne were married, and they didn't do rings, they did tattoos.
Cute.
Yeah. Anyway, and then Theo gets captured at one point, and he's being like tortured. I know.
No.
And then by Barty Crouch Jr.
Yeah.
And then these women are like, oh my god. and they go and get like this other woman, and then anyway, it turns out it was Daphne, and she was just polyjuiced.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, so she didn't actually die. Anyway, whole thing. And they
Whole
save
thing.
her. It's all
This whole thing. Just read it.
just read it. And then oh, and Draco has a dragon. He rides around on a dragon.
Oh, that's so cool though.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
out of pocket, but
Yeah,
good for him.
which is called, and dragon's called Narcissa because of course he has mummy issues.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Anyway, so fast forward through all that, and then he dies. He's just like, oh, don't heal me. Like,
Was that the devastating part?
no.
What's the devastating part?
The devastating part is that he wakes up like at his manor,
Okay.
but he's dead.
Oh.
Anyway, and his mum's there.
Oh.
Yeah, and then
Crazy.
and Lucius is there. Oh, and like this house elf that got killed is there. Yeah, that was really sad as well. There's another killing of a house elf.
That's really sad, actually.
Got beheaded.
Oh,
Like,
fun.
so they apparate, right? They apparate at one point, and then they're like, oh, like something landed next to them, and it's just their house elf's head.
What kind of messed up fan fiction are you reading?
I love it. Jeez, that's great. I love the grit.
Oh my god, I'm crying already. Anyway,
Crying of sadness or laughter at this
oh, so
point.
anyway, so yeah, so Draco wakes up in heaven, which is like his manor, which like. And
Maddie
his
started
mum's
out.
there, and then she's like, "Oh, like your dad's here as well, whatever." But anyway, and then Hermione's there, and she's with. Oh yeah, because his dragon gets killed as well, so his dragon is there. And there was this whole thing about like the dragon didn't like anyone but Draco, but the dragon also likes Hermione.
Of course.
So she comes in riding, and she's like, "What are you doing here? Like you're not meant to be here yet. Like you promised me, like you'd live and you'd like find someone else." And blah. Anyway, that's the part that was stupid.
Stupid, or did it just hurt you?
It hurt me.
You hate that it hurt you that much.
Yeah. So that was that one.
Wait, that's so funny. Just like, I remember death.
Oh yeah,
I remember death.
I remember everyone dies.
That's so funny. But no, that sounds so cool and yeah, devastating.
Yeah.
And really intense.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of these, especially alternate universes that Voldemort wins, a lot of grit, gore,
Mm.
perhaps such sexual violence as well, a la Manacled.
Yeah,
But
And-
I think the reason why we see this trend of Harry Potter fanfiction going this dark sort of route
Mm.
is that, especially in the later books, it's meant to be a war. It never really feels truly like the stakes are that high.
yeah,
And so I think the fandom sort of tried to rectify that with this was a very serious and haunting point in their lives. Let's try and rewrite some of these characters and their actions and motivations to be more in line with what they went through.
I have like thoughts and stuff that like I'll tell you after I like go through because I have two more.
It's okay. We have plenty of
Yeah.
time. Alrighty, next one, Kenzie.
Okay, next one is the injury of finally knowing you,
Okay.
which I hated.
Ooh, you actually hated one. That's surprising.
Yeah, well, I forgot to say that Secrets and Masks by Emerald Slytherin, and I think that's the one that's getting picked up because
I know
because I heard this was when everyone was binding and she took it down
Yeah.
off AO3.
because she didn't want people to sell it.
Yeah. And so I went and I like downloaded a bunch because I was like,
Before
I'm
the
not
cull,
missing out.
the great
Yeah.
fanfic culling.
I'm just gonna go to the start. Also, so that was 1,048 pages,
Jesus
ebook
fucking
pages,
Christ.
and that's PDF. So I'll show you what the writing looks like.
Wow.
Also, I figured out what lock on the Kindle stands for. No,
Okay.
down the bottom.
Oh, like
it says lock.
location?
Yeah, location.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it
Oh
was
my
lock.
god. We love you, but
that's
like...
side eye. it's diabolical. You know.
Did you know?
Yeah, so yeah,
Oh, thank
like
God.
location.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh,
Well,
the
I
more you
guess
know.
I'm just stupid. So
Yeah. I suppose, yeah, at the end of the day, Harry Potter was intended to be a quote unquote children's book. Maybe very young adult book.
I think the issue with Harry Potter on the whole is, yes, it was initially meant to be a children's book, but Joe wanted the books to get more mature with the audience.
yeah,
But so we got this issue, especially once we got to like Half-Blood Prince, where the books are trying to be more mature, but they also don't want to alienate the kids that are still reading it. So it's trying to find that balance between it's serious and adult, but also it's not ACOTAR, let's put it that way.
Yeah. No. Yeah, it's hard trying to find the balance between having everything that you want and trying to maximize your audiences. Have you read any fics, Maddie? Harry Potter fics?
No, just Manacled at the start of the year, so that's...
What are your thoughts on Manacled?
It was heavy. It took me a while to get through it because of the content. but it's certainly well written, and I can see why it got picked up for a proper adaptation, or not a rewrite. We'll put it that way. Which is not surprising. We've seen that happen before. I mean, the Twilight series was originally fan fiction.
We always come back to Twilight and 50 Shades.
Yeah, and the Mortal Instruments series was also originally fan fiction.
I've heard about
Yes,
that.
it was Ginny.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it incest fanfic though?
Yeah,
it was Ginny and
What?
Ron. Yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah.
God, maybe to be a
That's
successful.
why she's a redhead. Clary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Clary.
Oh, what?
Yeah, because she's meant to be Ginny.
Yeah.
Ew, okay, I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, to be a very successful like YA fantasy-ish author is to have your story based around fanfiction. And that's what they say about Crescent City. Crescent City's supposed to be about Zootopia or something. there's a joke.
Oh,
There's a joke about that. Yeah, I'm
But-
pretty sure.
While we're talking about other fandoms and all that, I think when we talk about with Harry Potter and sort of feeling like it lost its way towards the end and unsure whether it's meant to be adult or kids content, I think as much as I love it, Sarah J. Maas fell in the same trap with Throne of Glass.
Oh, for sure.
By the time you got up to like Kingdom of Ash, this is meant to be a very serious, high fantasy type book, but at the same point, it's still meant to be YA. And I think she was struggling to find the balance between the seriousness and also the lightheartedness that was just YA.
Aelin deserved to call Maeve a fucking cunt.
Yeah, 100%. But likewise, ACOTAR as a series never should have been classified as YA.
Yeah.
No, they had a full-on tonal shift to
Yeah.
everything. Anyway, yeah.
Speaking of 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay.
So, The Injury of Finally Knowing You is by Vanilla Sage. Not very vanilla. Anyway, and it starts off with, the kids back for their 8th year. And Draco Malfoy is on probation, so like he can't get in trouble, blah blah blah. Anyway, so he and Hermione start off like a relationship thing, and then they're talking about like what's going to happen after 8th year, and they kind of decide that they're going to like go somewhere together. And then Ron and Harry didn't go back for their 8th year, they just started their aura training, and at the start like Ron and Hermione are together, but they break up because he has feelings for someone else. He breaks up with her the day before Valentine's Day because he wants to spend Valentine's Day with the other girl.
Dickhead move.
And then Hermione goes, yeah, well, I'm going to fuck Draco Malfoy.
I mean, yeah, I think she wins.
Yeah. Anyway, so she does. But then he comes back to, like, the castle at one point. And he asks for, like, Hermione's like, I want another chance. Like, we weren't seeing each other. Like, there's a lot going on, blah, blah, blah. And then Hermione's like, oh, okay. Because she doesn't want to become like, and she obliviated Ginny because Ginny like caught her and Draco sneaking around, and then Ginny like was really rude to her about it, so she just obliviated her. And then anyway, so she's like, I don't want to become this person that like people think that I'm becoming, whatever. So she agrees to get back with Ron, but Draco overhears this, and he hears sees them kiss or whatever, and Hermione and Draco had like a secret room, and he went and he set it on fire. Draco did anyway, so he broke his probation.
Oh no!
So he got exiled.
Oh no!
From the wizarding world.
Holy shit!
Right?
All from like topical high school like drama, almost relationship drama. Yeah.
Anyway, and then her and Ron were only together for 10 days.
Oh my god!
Yeah. And then she ends up marrying Neville Longbottom.
Oh.
Yeah, and then they get divorced. Oh. So it's 10 years later.
It's really bouncing around.
Yeah. So it's 10 years later, and their divorce has been finalized, and she's walking around like Muggle London, and she happens upon. Okay, so first of all, though, the author says that like she's really inspired by like Hosier and like all his music and stuff, and blah blah. Anyway, good old Andrew. And so Hermione stumbles upon this like Muggle pub. And there is a band playing called Slithering Exile.
Okay.
Oh my god.
And Draco Malfoy is the front man.
What a creative choice.
Yeah, I think he changed his name. He just goes by D.
Oh my god.
I think he changed his name to Black, Draco Black, instead of Malfoy. Anyway, and so he's the lead singer. And he like writes all these songs about Hermione. He's like, because the girl who broke my heart, blah blah blah. Anyway,
when you think about all the, and I'm sorry to Tom Felton, but you think about all the trashy Tom Felton songs that he's released, like it's too good.
Yes. Anyway, and then also like part of the exile though is that he wasn't meant to have contact with like the wizarding world, but like Theo, Not, and Blaze and stuff go and see him sometimes and stuff. Anyway, and then he's like, oh, like he sees Hermione in the crowd, like, oh, ladies and gentlemen, usually like I don't get to play for like the woman who did this, but like she's here tonight, like
Oh,
blah.
lovely.
Anyway, it's a whole thing. Anyway, and then he ends up at her door. She lives in an apartment. Anyway, and he's just a fucking cunt to her, like, and they essentially hate fuck.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's all very much like, yes sir, no sir,
Very like dominating.
Yeah.
And she's like submissive. Like
Yeah,
she deserves
please fuck me, blah blah blah.
that. Wow.
The whole thing. Theo and Harry are having an affair.
Love that for them.
Yeah, behind Ginny's back. Anyway, and then eventually Hermione ends up representing Draco to like be unexiled and like be welcomed back into the wizarding community, because mostly he just wants to see his mum again.
Oh.
Anyway, and she gets that through, like he becomes unexiled, but he's like, I don't want to go back. Like
Fair enough.
I like made a life for myself, and in his band are like his band members are like American witches and wizards, so like they know like shit's going on, whatever.
So he doesn't really feel less alone in that sense because he's still surrounded by witches
but
and
he's
wizards.
become like a fucking at one point he nearly died from heroin.
Oh, like the true rock star lifestyle. Right.
Yeah, so they fall in love or whatever, and they kind of just like toe the line of wizarding world and stuff, mostly just for his mum.
Yeah.
And Neville and Hannah Abbott get together and they have a baby. And then Ginny finds out about the affair and she's upset. But then Ginny and Blaze Zabini get together.
Really, the pairings, they're just all bouncing around each other.
And then there's one point like he writes this new song or whatever at the end, and he performs at like the Palace Theatre or something. And the author of the fanfic is just like, it's work song, like just like imagine work song. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was that one.
That's really cool. I'm just imagining being a reader as the fic is updated either weekly or
I
regularly.
love every time, like at the start of the chapter,
Yeah.
where I was like, sorry, my entire family died in a car crash, like like that.
But
sort
no,
of
just
thing.
imagine like what was it? Hermione and Neville got divorced. Everyone's like, all right, it's Draco time, and then you still have to wait.
Yeah.
Like that'd be frustrating.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yes.
blue balling your audience. And of course, it's a slow burn. It takes a while. Alrighty, and your next one?
Yes, the one I am currently reading. Oh wait, there's one that I want to read, and it's called Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Falling in Love.
I've heard of
Yeah,
that.
What a
I've heard of that
title!
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
a title!
Yeah, it's meant to be really big though, because I couldn't email it to my Kindle. I had to compress it into a zip and then send it.
I've also seen people bind that one, not for
Yeah,
sale,
yeah.
but
Yeah. And there's also another one called like Magic and Lattes or something that I want to read. But
which would be a reference to Travis Baldry's Legends of Latte that came out the other year and went
We
hugely
have that.
viral.
Yeah, we
have it. We were meant to read it. We never did. Okay, and the one I'm currently reading, I'm 95% of the way through. So like, I'm at the end.
You practically
like,
finished.
yeah, but I'm scared. Anyway,
You probably have like 80,000 more words to go.
yeah, another 1,000 pages. Yeah, I'd read like 28 chapters, and it's like 15%.
Oh no, I would kill myself.
It's called The Auction. It's by Loves Bidka 8, and it is Harry Potter is Dead.
Of course.
The Great Order, has taken over, which is Voldemort and his thing. Anyway, and they've rounded up like all blood traders, Order members, anyone that they can. Anyway, and they auction them off to the Death Eaters to become sex slaves,
I love it.
essentially, or whatever. Yeah,
How gnarly.
and it's like boys and girls.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Pansy Parkinson as well gets rounded up because you find out later why. But anyway, and Hermione. Oh, and then the bidding starts at 10,000 galleons.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a virgin, it starts at 15,000 galleons.
Love it.
I needed to hang on. I wonder if anyone's in it.
Well, we have Kenzie does her thing. Any other fandoms you're involved in, Maddie?
Fanfic wise?
Yeah, or just like fandoms that you appreciate or adore, or just like consume media.
Oh, just throw. Not lately, no.
Not really. No. You're into Doctor Who?
Casually speaking, I used to be more into it years ago, but like the writing hasn't really been it the last few years, so it's sort of made it hard to stay up to date with. So
Fair enough.
what about you?
No.
No fairness
It's a
whatsoever.
nothing.
Just
No,
straight up.
just no. Not anymore.
Okay.
I need to find something.
So I just did some quick maths. So Hermione Granger ends up getting sold for 65,000 galleons,
Oh, fucking hell.
which in AUD
Galleons to AUD, that's an actual thing.
Yeah.
is $517,400.
Jesus Christ.
Um,
I'm sorry, but if I was sold on the black market and found out it was only worth 500,000
I'd be happy with that.
No, I wouldn't be. My entire life's worth is 500,000. Come on.
You really think it's worth $1 million?
anyway, but like that's way more than like any of the other. Oh, and
Yeah,
they're called
yeah.
lots. They're not called like whatever. They're just called
Oh.
lots. So they're sold for like way less than the Hermione.
Yeah, but
Anyway.
because it's Hermione and she's like one of the greatest witches
Yeah.
of her generation, who she is.
Yeah, and Draco Malfoy buys her.
Does
Well,
she
yeah,
have the
she's
virgin
golden girl.
tax as well?
She has the virgin tax.
Okay, cool. Of course she does.
Yes, and they get a tattoo of like
Oh no.
their owner's initials on their arm, so she gets DM anyway, and it stops them from like apparating. Oh,
Dominate me.
first of all, they like suppress all their magic and stuff. Rape me? Is that what you said? Oh,
So dominate me.
Obviously, yes.
This is about Hermione, not your own personal interest,
No,
Claire.
no. The DM means dominate.
Also, yeah,
me.
so they give them a potion as well that like suppresses their magic and stuff, and so
Of
they can't
course.
operate. And also any mudblood, because they're called mudbloods, like she's addressed as Mudblood Granger. They sterilize them, but the nurse did a cheeky with Hermione and like didn't like only like took out one ovary or whatever. She did
So
other
she
ones.
has a chance.
Yeah, no, so,
Her and Draco can have kids one day.
oh yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyway, and
Well, it's good. We've got to have the pregnancy trope
Yeah.
in there somehow.
but like,
course.
but she's at Malfoy Manor, and like Narcissa is like she has her like Hermione has her own suite, like a wardrobe full of clothes and stuff. Like she's not getting raped, which is a plus.
It's
That's
not
that-
manacled.
that's-
It's not
Narcissa's like really nice to her and stuff. Anyway, and then like of course her and Draco fall in love,
Mhm.
and then she's like, "Why did you buy me?" And he's like, "Because I love you." Like he's like,
Oh.
"I had feelings for you at school." Like blah blah. It's a whole thing. And then he helps Hermione, like save everyone. Essentially, there's like this whole like gentleman's club situation as well with like all the other girls, and they like get messages to each other and stuff. Like there's the revolution is
The whole-
happening.
The whole underground insider
yeah.
info.
Yeah, so I'm nearly done with that one. So
Oh,
yeah.
cool. So is that devastating you in any way?
Not yet, but I think it might.
The last 100 pages. Or
Oh, and Lucius Malfoy has sacrificed himself as well.
oh, I love that for him.
Yeah.
We love a character
Yeah.
Good
redemption.
riddance, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, wonderful. I love that for you, Kenzie, and I like hearing all about it.
Thank you. Okay, so here are my thoughts on fanfic in general.
Okay.
Okay, we already know from Manacled, but when I'm reading this, I'm not picturing Emma Watson and Tom Felton, and I'm not picturing Hermione Granger and Draco Malfoy, and I'm not picturing the universe of Harry Potter. It was like when I went and saw Cursed Child, I'm like, oh, they just happen to be in a universe where there's magic and wands, but it's
Mhm.
not this universe that I like and am intimately familiar
I
with.
mean, let's face it, Cursed Child is fanfic.
Yeah,
It was never written by Joe, so it counts as fanfic.
Yeah. So yeah, just
I'm
like-
sure it's an epic stage production,
it is.
but yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm like. I'm not going in like, oh my god, I love Draco Malfoy. It's like, no, I love this
Mhm.
fictional character that happens
But
to be called Draco Malfoy.
I had the sa- I read I don't read much fanfic these days, but throughout high school I lived off Harry Potter fan fiction. And back then and even recently when I read Manacled, same thing. I don't really see the characters as they are in the films. And
Yeah.
even when I go back and reread the actual main 7 books, same thing. I'm not there to I'm not viewing Daniel Radcliffe as Harry. Like I just sort of see
I see like blurs and vibes.
Yeah.
You just see a shadow with glasses and maybe a mark on
Yeah.
the forehead.
Yeah. And I'm reading these as like individual books. Like I'm
Mm.
not like, oh, this is a continuation where I'm like, no, this is just standalone
Yeah.
like fantasy book that I'm reading.
But then I'm sure there are people who look at it the other way, and when they imagine that Draco, they imagine like Tom Felton as in like Half-Blood Prince or
Yeah.
something. You know that like
yeah, well, I
era.
haven't delved down the YN like rabbit hole
Yeah,
yet
yeah,
of
yeah.
fanfic. So
No. You can't. You
I've just come
compartment-
back from 6 months at Hogwarts.
the shifting. Oh, the shifting.
The shifting's a whole different
Oh.
episode you could do.
Say it with me now. Lucid dreamers.
Yeah.
I said it. Yeah, no, that's funny. Yeah. Are there any other like fics on your list, Kenzie, or are they your top ones that you've just really wanted to delve into?
They were just ones that I found on like the TikTok sphere that have come highly recommended.
That aren't already taken down for whatever reason.
Yeah, that aren't already taken down. So, yeah, I mean, because I was saying before, I want to go down like some George Weasley ones.
Yeah, you're gonna expand.
Yeah, my horizons. I might even do some YN ones.
You should just do one as an experiment and just see if you like it.
Yeah.
Cool. Love that for you. I think, yeah, Harry Potter is just going to be something, like, it's just a huge once-in-a-generation sort of media, and fanfics and Cursed Child stuff will always come of it.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to talk about Harry Potter in general, because we've seen the rise in book talk and things like ACOTAR, Fourth Wing, and the popularity they're getting. But even that sort of stuff is not even scratching the surface on the level of popularity and fame that we saw with Harry Potter. Like, we've never had that level of mass market appeal from the general audience for a book series. Like, we might get, let's say, with when the next ACOTAR book comes out, we might get a midnight launch, one in each capital city, for instance. But when the Harry Potter books were launching, you were getting midnight launches in every town of the state. Like, everyone needed that book as quickly as possible. And I don't think we're ever really going to see that again.
Pardon my ignorance, but was it also at a time where the final books were being published and the movies were being released as well? And like that just creates extra sort of hype.
Well, I remember and I always see like text posts about this and stuff and like little memes or whatever, but it's always like, nothing will ever beat this. And it was the poster of like Harry and Voldemort, and it just said like, this is the end or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, back, we didn't even need the title. Like, everyone just knew.
Yeah. It's just so recognizable.
But I'd make the same argument. We got similar sort of media. It's not talking about the books, we're talking about a TV show here, but for Game of Thrones, towards the end, same sort of thing. It was at that level of peak popularity. But with the Game of Thrones series, the books never took off the same way the series did. The books still have a loyal fan base, of course, but fan base is going to be let down because those books will never be finished. But, you know, there is a loyal fan base, but the general populace weren't active in reading those books either. They just wanted to watch the show. So
I think just the fact that those Game of Thrones books were just so thick and so big, it discourages it. Whereas, with the J.K. Rowling Harry Potter books, they were just, set out as, like, appropriate sized individual books, and it's made it easier to read.
And I think the other thing, if you want to compare these two exactly, the Game of Thrones books at the end of the day are high fantasy. They're dense. They're a very complex world building. The average reader who's never read high fantasy before is going to struggle. Whereas with the Harry Potter series, because it was designed as a young adult children's series, anyone of any like adult level, at least reading comprehension, could just dive in there. The world building is not that complex to understand.
It was really Harry versus Voldemort, good versus evil sort of thing. Whereas in comparison to the likes of Game of Thrones, where, as you said, like very dense, like political intrigue and just interpersonal relationships between all the different houses, and then you got your White Walker nonsense, and then everything else in between. Deep house politics as well. Yeah, crazy the comparisons between high fantasy and more of a simpler fantasy in general.
But and I think, but just circling back to Harry Potter though, I think that's why we'll always see such a rise in Harry Potter fan fiction, because there's the fight back on people not agreeing with the author's viewpoints. There's people fighting back because there's all this stuff that they wish was explored more and was never looked into. And just the general populace, people know if they write about it, there's going to be an audience because it's such a large fan base. So I think that's always going to be the cause with having such a huge fan fiction database on Harry Potter. I remember growing up, there was multiple websites similar to AO3 that were just Harry Potter fan fiction. That was it.
Yeah, crazy. It's just forever going to be a huge thing. Once in a generation, I feel.
So when's the next generation then? Well, what's the next?
I don't know what the next best thing is. Nothing.
If that was for the millennial generation, what's Gen Z gonna have?
They can suffer. That's just suffering. They don't get nice things.
As a millennial, I'm already suffering, so...
And that's just your fault. You just cop that L.
Jesus.
F in the chat. Well, I don't know what the next best thing or the next generational thing is. When it happens, we're going to be too old for it. I don't know. With the way media is also getting pumped out, but also taking too long to create, and the quality, like, who knows if there will ever be anything that can contend with Harry Potter.
I don't think we will ever see anything quite like it, because once, as you said, media and the whole landscape has changed so much. Like, we're even from a reading standpoint, we're seeing all this dialogue happening online right now, where people are like, oh, well, I skipped this part because I don't like that part, and I skim read this, and so everyone's habits are changing depending on what they're looking to get out of. We're not as cohesive a society as what we were back then. Short form media has just changed. I'm not saying for better or for worse, that's a different conversation to get into, but short form media has definitely changed the way we view the world and how we interact with it.
For sure, our brains are fucking cooked.
My God.
What is the truth though?
So, future episode idea: are our brains actually cooked?
Yeah.
Yes.
I used to be able to consume hours of like Critical Role. I could watch like 2 episodes back to back, 6+ hours, and now I can't anymore.
You want to talk to that subject and go back to something we were just talking about? So the Game of Thrones books, or Song of Ice and Fire books, they're about 600 to 800 pages each.
Yeah.
I was able to read one of them a day.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So
well, we'll be able to consume.
This was like 2012. I just moved out of home, going to uni, and I didn't have a job. So take in mind, I had a whole day to myself to do absolutely nothing. But still, I was able to consume 600 to 800 pages in a day.
Yeah, it's insane. And now, like, even sometimes 350 pages is a struggle.
Oh, for sure. Like I used to be able to do a 300-page book, like, once again in on a Saturday if I wanted to. Oh, it's a book I'm excited for. I'm going to read it. I just read it. Now I look at that and go, well, that's going to be at least a 3 or 4 day effort.
Yeah, and back to the book talk thing and ruining with people skimming and the habits and everything. Yeah, that's been circulating recently, and I feel guilty because sometimes, I just skim because everything sounds familiar or it just seems too uncompelling.
But I once again, this could be a whole episode in itself. But I think that also comes down to the tropification we're seeing of mainstream media. Like, we're no longer looking at, I've got this great romance novel idea. It's, well, if it's going to be a romance, it needs to have single bed trope. It needs to have enemies to lovers, and you start listing off all the attributes. And at that point, you don't have an original content because you're spending, as the writer, you're spending the whole book trying to, well, how do I fit all these pieces in, rather than just writing a fluid, natural story.
And then everyone else is trying to add their own little twist on it, and it just becomes an oversaturation of the same thing. And that's where I'm at right now in the slumpy reading world, because everything I've read is the same.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this the other night really quickly, especially with people trying to write enemies to lovers, because they're never true enemies to lovers, because one's has always been in love with them from the very beginning, blah, blah, blah. It's hard to create an enemies to lovers without it coming off as like a really toxic relationship. And obviously no one really wants to advertise like a toxic relationship unless it's defined as like dark fantasy.
And
I was about to say, have you seen Book Talk recently? All we care about, so all they care about is the toxic side of things.
Yes. And enemies to lovers, again, is like so hard because, if you want literal enemies, it's like, okay, well, one of them is evil, so really, how did they become lovers without one of them switching sides?
Yeah. I always think of it as like, if I don't know what the plot would be, but they're after an artifact or something and they have to beat each other up in the process. Like, that's fine. But then you don't want, like,
but if they're both after it, they have to be after it for different reasons. So one of them has to switch sides.
The only time enemies lovers really seems to click, as you said, they have to change sides.
Yeah.
So usually it has to be, and quite often it's the male interest.
Yeah.
Turns out, they weren't a jerk. They actually were hiding the truth of that they're fighting for the good guys all along, and I'm the brainwashed female, so I need to open.
Or like the good guys are actually the bad guys.
Like, I'm getting sick of that. You know what? I wouldn't mind if it was an enemies to lovers and the enemy is actually lost and like kaput, they're gone or they're in hiding, and like the enemy in question, lover, is just humbled and thinking like, you know what, life is actually better now. Maybe I was wrong, and then you just reconcile over being wrong, and then you grow a love and relationship out of that. Why not?
I'd also just like, with enemies to lovers, I would like to see a pure golden retriever type FMC who just gets more and more pissed off and corrupted as the story goes on, to the point where she's an absolute psycho by the end, and that's how they get together, because she's stooped down to his level.
I love the idea of the reverse tropes.
Yeah.
Like, instead of a single bed, it's like 4 beds.
I was going to say one bed. How about all the beds? It's like we actually have every room available.
If we can go back to the actual point of this, though, which was discussing fanfic, is I think a lot of this tropification comes from the fanfic community.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And we've seen this huge rise, rightly or wrongly so, as we were discussing before, this huge rise of fanfic authors becoming traditionally published authors. The more and more of these people are entering the industry, and they're trying to push this whole agenda of, well, this story needs X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and that's how we make a good story. And I think we're kind of the reason why we feel like all the books are the same is because everyone's trying to just tick these boxes constantly, and I don't know how we step back from where we're at right now, because it feels like all the old guard, so to speak, the publishing houses of 10, 15, 20 years ago, they've all retired or moved on, and we've got all these fanfic writers that have basically taken over the industry.
Yeah, maybe the next step is to just ban fanfic writers from becoming traditionally published authors. Or come up with an original works that doesn't... No. But honestly, to the fanfic writers who are getting published for their works, I mean, get your bag. I respect that. Like, it's a hustle out there. It's hard. Maybe we just need to change the books that we read. Because, you know, we get the recommendations from Book Talk. We build our FYP brick by brick, you know. Maybe we need to find something different. Yeah,
I've certainly done that recently, where I've been so disenfranchised by Book Talk and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, I'll just pull a book off my shelf that I bought 8 years ago that I thought sounded cool, and it can be so refreshing just to read something that's just not even in the popular sphere right now.
Alrighty, I think we're running out of time. So yeah, final thoughts, feelings, and emotions, Kenzie, about anything.
I am a husk of the person I was before I started this journey, and that's okay.
Alrighty. Thank you for sharing. I very much do enjoy listening to what you read. That way I don't have to read it. Well, I'm not deep enough in the fandoms or anything.
You don't have to be. You just approach it, like I said, as like a separate fantasy book that just happens to have the same names.
Okay.
Like, you don't need to know the intricate details of Harry Potter.
In the back of my mind, I just can't help it.
I think for me personally these days, especially being an adult in the world who has limited time, jobs, families, as we all do, I look at my TBR and go, I've only got so much time to myself, to read, to relax. So I don't want to be hung up on one fandom. I want to
I see it as a challenge. How many can I get through this week?
But yeah, so for me personally, that's why I don't read a lot of fan fiction. Unless I read a story consume media and go, I feel like there's not enough. I did that just last year with the new Ghostbusters film. I felt like there was certain subtext in there. I was like, someone has to have written something. Went straight home, and there was a heap of fanfics.
The gay subtext.
The gay subtext, yeah.
The gay ghost.
It was the gay ghost subtext. I love that. It was so good. But point being, generally speaking, I will focus on traditionally published work purely because I want to consume as much as I can. It's more about just trying to consume as many worlds as possible. Okay. I've read some brilliant original pieces that were never traditionally published, but it's just I don't read a lot of fanfiction these days that I get hung up on the one thing. But that's where Kenzie doing this.
I'm doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, you're doing the Lord's work because it's really cool to hear that sort of stuff. And like I only end up reading Manacle because you suggested.
Yeah, I think we should do. I want to do a slideshow, like presentation of like all of them.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Love it. Well, thank you, Kenzie, for sharing.
You're welcome.
If you ever smash out a shit ton more, I'm happy to do this again.
I've already set myself like 3 while I've been sitting here.
She set herself up. But quickly, like ironically, like I have all the time in the world and I have not really started any other books lately. But like when I did work and stuff, like I could smash out 2 books in a week while working. It's crazy how it's flipped like that. Anyway, Harry Potter fandom, we love it. We support it. Go more orders. Go Draco. Go Dramione.
Stay safe out there.
Stay safe. Yeah, thanks for listening. I don't know when this will be out. It'll be out when it'll be out. I don't know. All right. Christmas?
Yep.
You just say when. This is your episode.
Christmas.
Okay. Yeah, with that, check us out on the socials. Instagram, TikTok, SoundCloud if you're old school, RIP, Google Podcast, and we're also on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Check us out there. Catch us next time for more fanfic talk and maybe other generic book conversations. I don't know. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.